Good evening, nerds around the world. Welcome to a special Nerds United as One podcast. I'm Paul English, your host, and today we are going to be discussing the new MCU entry, Spider-Man Far From Home. This will be a spoiler discussion, so if you've not seen this movie, please stop watching now. Well, no, actually, not just yet. I'll tell you when to stop watching. But until then, let me introduce you to our panel. It's the regulars of Colton, Jack, and Mike. How's it going, folks?
Look out! Here comes Spider-Man!
I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I got my Spider-Man shirt on, and if you could see, I got a giant Spidey.
Okay. Hey, check out who is
So I'm ready
here.
to talk web slinger.
Check out who's here. You might remember this guy. It's our boy from Philadelphia. It's Avi. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. Only Moana shirt. No Spidey shirt.
That's okay. I got a Star Wars shirt, so it's fine. Okay. So, guys, before we get into specifics, I want some overall non-spoiler thoughts about what you thought of this movie. Remember, not spoilers, just one time. Mm-hmm. So, Avi, since it's been so long, I'll start with you. Give me your overall thoughts about Spider-Man Far From Home.
As the resident Marvel hater, I was blown away. It's actually my favorite MCU movie. It is straight up my favorite MCU movie. I think Jake Gyllenhaal gives an amazing performance. I'm not really a fan of this iteration of Spider-Man, but in this movie, I just thought he was just great. I thought Holland was great as Peter Parker and as Spidey. I just thought it's like it's just the best MCU movie, and I was like blown away.
Okay, nice. Colton, what did you think?
I thought it to be an exciting adventure in Spider-Man's life. I liked how it kept up the momentum from Avengers Endgame, the dramatic momentum from Avengers Endgame. I was a fan of the performances, and the action was a step up from Spider-Man Homecoming. I was a little mixed on on a few things, like how they addressed Spider-Man's PTSD sort of, but overall I had a good time. I loved Jake Gyllenhaal in his role. I liked what they did with the romance and what have you. So overall, this is a good movie. It might be my fourth ranked film. I might rank it fourth of my favorite Spider-Man films. So Spider-Man 2, Spider-Verse, and Spider-Man 1 ahead of it.
Okay. Jack, what did you think?
I really like this film. I did not think it was as good as the previous Homecoming. I love, but this was a great one, and I can't wait to see what they do next.
Okay, Mike, what did you think?
I thought it was a fantastic Spider-Man movie. I was so glad that they got Mysterio right. Mm-hmm. They actually made him without going into spoiling, they made him a very solid character. And they got some of the comic book moments from Mysterio, like early comic books. They got it right, which I was so happy, glad to see.
I was so impressed with how they made one of the goofiest looking comic costumes work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the comics, Mysterio kind of has a goofy costume.
Genius from Marvel. Okay, as for me, I mean, Mike, we saw it together with Caleb. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun entry. Guys, nice change of pace for the intensity of Endgame. And I admittedly, I do kind of wish that this was not the film to close out the Phase 3. It kind of launched Phase 4, although the mid-credit scene does make up for it, but we'll get into that later. Okay, so guys, consider this your official spoiler warning. If you have not seen this movie, stop watching, go watch it, and then come back. Now that's out of the way. Avi, let's get into some specifics, and feel free to spoil. Let's talk about Tom Holland. Had his portrayal of Spider-Man in this film. How do you think he did?
Like I said, I think he did like really well. There's something in the first movie that I like got sick of, like the whole time, like how much they tried to push, like, oh, he's a high schooler, or like how much, oh, he's a kid and he doesn't really understand all the references and stuff. And I got kind of sick of that. This movie, I really felt like they didn't try to push that much. I liked him as basically, I love that sequence near like the middle, near like the end-ish of the movie when he meets Happy again, and they like basically subtly hint that it's like Iron Man Jr. And I just like the whole like him basically being Iron Man's protege and like him like pulling up all the suits. And I thought it's like a really just good performance, and it's a big step up over. I haven't seen old '80s movies.
Interesting. All right.
Okay, he's only done that twice. To be fair.
it's a twice too many.
All right, Colton. What do you think about Tom Holland in this film? How do you think he did?
I just like his performance in Spider-Man: Homecoming. I loved his performance here too. I like how he has just enough awkward charm and understated drama to keep his character likably endearing, while also being able to handle the more quiet moments in the movie. Like, one of my favorite scenes was when he was talking to Mysterio on top of that roof, and he talks about how having to save the world again screwed up his plans to tell MJ that he liked her. And it doesn't sound like he's, selfishly putting his own wants ahead of others. It's just a simple and relatable statement of disappointment, And I also liked how this movie really helped. I feel like this film, Peter being young, worked to its advantage more so than in Spider-Man: Homecoming, I think. It's like that scene where he's like getting tormented by Mysterio's illusions, and then just seeing how he breaks down towards the end when he's with Happy on the jet and everything about trying to live up to everyone's expectations and everything. It was just a well-acted scene, and I feel like if he was like a grown man, it wouldn't feel quite as impactful. But in this movie, it was they hit it right out of the park. And I also loved how this movie really downplayed how it downplayed some of the stuff. Well, wait, that's another subject. Never mind. But yeah, overall, Tom Holland, he's still keeping. He knows he's a good Spidey, And I resent anyone. I hate it when people call him Iron Man Jr. Okay, he's not the same person as Iron Man. He was not. He was Spider-Man before Iron Man met him, and he does not act the same way Iron Man does when he's saving the world. Okay, so that's my thing.
No, we praise him as the great Underoos, hero to them downtrodden.
I mean, technically, they are trying to make him Iron Man Jr. They wouldn't play AC. They wouldn't play AC/DC.
It's an homage. Right. Okay, he is not the same person. He's not the same character as Iron Man.
Well, all right, Jack. All right, we have the great Underoos in his second starring role. What did you think?
I thought it was really good in this performance. I wasn't a huge fan of the whole MJ thing, but I did like some of the things it led to, like when he accidentally gets the drone to try and kill Brad on the bus to delete the picture. And one of my favorite scenes was him getting awkward around the lady when she's telling him to take off his pants. I thought that was just a great performance that just shows. He's still a high schooler. Even though he's like superhero and he's fought gods and stuff, he's still a high schooler and he gets nervous about women. I thought that was funny.
All right. Mike, what did you think of Tom Holland as Spider-Man and Peter Parker in this?
I think Tom Holland is fantastic. He's my favorite Spider-Man in any of the live action movies so far. But what I really liked especially was his interactions with Nick Fury. I understood, he was like, Tony was like kind of the father figure. Nick Fury, it was definitely more of just like this uncle that, he's like, you've fought with the Avengers, you've been to space, you've got all these powers. Are you going to use them? And just Tom Holland, he was great at portraying Peter Parker as just this, yeah, I've got all these powers. I've done all these things. I am a superhero. I just want to make out with this girl that I like. I just want to go on vacation in Europe. I just want to hang out with my friends. I want to be a regular kid. But he was great at just showing that dichotomy between, great power, great responsibility. He doesn't really necessarily want all that responsibility. He's still just, he's still in high school, so I really liked how he portrayed that. So I really, really like Tom Holland in this role.
That actually brought up, that actually made me realize something, Mike, what you were saying. If you look at Tom Holland's performance in this film, it's kind of the opposite of what he was like in Homecoming. If you remember Homecoming, he's like, I want more responsibility. I want to be an Avenger. I want to fight the big bad, yada, yada, yada. Now in this, he's like, I just want to be a regular kid. Yeah, I've got these powers. I've got this responsibility, but I just want a normal life. So I'm wondering is that like PTSD? You know, the stress of being dusted and then coming back and.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think with all of the events that happen, in Infinity War and Endgame, and him seeing Tony die right in front of him, he I think that kind of pushed on him that this is not fun and games. Like these powers, they're cool, but they could cost people their lives. They could cost him his life. It could cost Aunt May his life. So he kind of like, and now he's starting to feel the weight of them, and he doesn't necessarily like that weight.
Indeed. So one of the things that does has me nervous, and I'll admit this, my concern going forward with Spider-Man films is that they won't really explore that too much. Like one of the issues I had with Homecoming was that it seemed a little bit, I don't know, too happy-go-lucky, and that part of what makes Spider-Man such a great character is, he's only at his best when like the entire world is trying to crush him into oblivion, and then he pushes back saying, "No, you're not doing this to me." My concern is that they're not going to go that far. So maybe I'm wrong, but I thought they did a decent job of that in this film.
I think they're going to, especially with the way this movie ends.
We'll see. All right. So it's a saying that a hero is only as good as his villain that opposes him, and we get in this film Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio. Let's talk about him for a second. Avi, I don't know how familiar you are with comic book Quentin or his any other appearances, but let's not try to do too much of that. What did you think of Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio in this role?
Jake Gyllenhaal is phenomenal in this movie. He's a great actor in general. Just check out his other stuff besides outside of the MCU. But oh my gosh, he is phenomenal in this movie. The way he just goes from like the way he goes from tricking. I don't even know if it's a spoiler to say he's a villain. Like, I mean, we are in spoiler.
We're in spoiler territory. Go ahead. Talk all you want.
Even me not knowing any comics, I was like, oh, what? It's almost kind of, I heard a complaint people have is like the people who know comics that are like, this first hour seems really slow because they just want to get to him being the villain. But I don't know. I thought it was really good. I think that whole bar scene reveal where like we first find out like what everyone is doing. Minor nitpick is it feels really exposition heavy because it's like, you did this and you set up this thing and you tricked him this way, and it's like I mean it kind of works because Gyllenhaal sells it as just like he's so happy about his plan he did. But no, I think Jake Gyllenhaal just gives like this insane performance of just like at parts petty, like he still wants his suit to be ready for the final battle, and like my favorite line read in the whole movie is near the end where he's talking to Edith and he's like, do you want to like fire the drones, and he's just like, fire all the drones now. It reminds me of Kylo Ren in Last Jedi when he's like, blow that piece of junk out of the sky. Yeah, he's really good. There's a moment where he like calls Edith. He's like, "Hey, sweetie," or "Hey, honey." It's just such a good performance. Just like he really went all out. And even like I wasn't the biggest fan of Homecoming, but Keaton was great. I think these fighting movies have great villains. I think Gyllenhaal is my favorite. I just think like that his whole just performance, even when he's like pretending to be a good guy, and like, yeah, I just think it's great. And the mid-credit scene, which we'll get to, but yeah,
we'll get to it.
Yeah, he's just phenomenal in this movie. Jake Gyllenhaal's an amazing actor.
All right, Colton, Mysterio, what'd you think?
All right, so, well, first off, I want to say that I actually liked Mysterio's exposition scene. I think that's an exposition scene done right, actually, in that it's established that Mysterio doesn't like how when people don't get credit for the work they deserve. So it was basically him giving everybody a congratulatory speech on a job well done, specifically congratulating people for how they contributed to the project and all that jazz. But yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal was so charismatic and convincing as a fake hero that I actually forgot that I was supposed to be suspicious of him during parts of the film, actually, And I actually found myself rooting for him and Peter when they were working together, especially when they were taking on the fire elemental and everything. He was that good, so that when the reveal was made, so that when the reveal happened, I thought, "Oh, you son of a bitch! I was starting to root for you." And I think I also say they picked the right moment to reveal that Mysterio was the bad guy. They could have drag this out for until I don't know the last third or something, but they picked the right moment just as we were really starting to. They picked the moment that we were obviously really starting to like him, and they pulled the rug out from under us. That was a fantastic reveal. It was like, despite the fact that Mysterio being the villain is such a non-twist, they actually managed to make the reveal an engaging scene, and I gotta give them major props for that. But I also loved how Jake Gyllenhaal perfectly captures the smug glory hound that Mysterio is once his true colors are revealed. But he also manages to stay a believable threat. Like he doesn't sometimes when bad guys like reveal their true colors, sometimes they lose their menace a little bit. Sometimes when they're twist bad guys, whereas with Mysterio, he only got more dangerous. And I love seeing how he used his illusions against Peter. I had no idea how he could pull half of those illusions off, and I enjoyed watching every second of them. And the way I love his and Peter's dynamic, and I might even say that he could be my second favorite Spider-Man villain ever, just behind the Green Goblin. The jury is out currently on that, but that's how I feel at the moment. So I'll get back to you on that maybe a month when I have my thoughts fully established. But yeah, the Green Goblin. Mysterio, they really managed to pull him off so far. So I'm really hoping that he isn't dead and is just pulling off the classic Mysterio faking his death thing, because that's something he's been known to do.
Oh, can I just add a quick note?
Quickly.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't drag it out that until the last third that he's the villain, because a lot of his fight scenes, if you look back, it's just generic you took everything from me. And all the illusions. I'm glad I wouldn't have been able to take 2 hours of him, an hour and a half of him being you took everything from me, and over and over.
All right, Jack. Jake Gyllenhaal is Mysterio. What you think?
I thought he was really good. It's different for me because I really know the comic, so I was just waiting. I was like, come on, we all know he's the bad guy. And then when you finally get it, I'm like, okay, now I'm getting into this. Because now he's selling it. Now he's really selling. He's Mysterio. And one of the things I love was they had a nod to the first Iron Man when one of the guys that was working for him was the guy that Obadiah Stane yelled at. Tony Stark built this in a cave.
Peter Billings.
The box of scraps.
That was Ralphie from A Christmas Story right there.
Is it the same actor from the first one?
Okay. Yeah, same actor, and he was the actor that played Ralphie in A Christmas Story.
And I loved his illusions. That was straight out of the comic books. When he saw the zombie Iron Man with the gauntlet, I was like, oh god, that's horrifying. And then when he tricks him, and you see Fury die, and I'm like, oh my god, did they just kill Fury? And then when you have Fury show up and shoot Quinn, and I'm like, oh my god, it's over? Nope. And then he gets hit by a train. I'm like, whoa, that was amazing. And then, him switching Peter through the different versions of his costume, I thought was really cool.
All right. Mike, what did you think of Mysterio?
I thought that I didn't know how they could pull off Mysterio as well as I wanted them to, and they did, absolutely. I mean, if you go back into some of the old comic books and read Mysterio's storylines, yeah, I mean they're kind of cheesy, but he pulls off these illusions that just make Peter completely doubt what is real and what is not, and that's exactly, especially that middle sequence, that's exactly what that did, and that was exactly what I've been hoping to see ever since they announced Mysterio. But yeah, I mean Jake Gyllenhaal. And then, when he says, and Tony Stark fired me because he says I was unstable, and then ever since that point, you kind of see him just every now and then he had to have that little twitch that okay, yeah, this guy is kind of unstable. But yeah, I mean Jake Gyllenhaal, he pulls off he's got the charismatic, but when he goes up full villain, I mean, there is that menace, and there is that. I mean, he knows who Peter Parker is, and he is, I don't want to kill you. I don't want to kill your friends and all that, but I'm going to. And you fully believe him. I mean, that's just. I mean, all kudos to Jake Gyllenhaal. He is a fantastic actor, and it's like Michael Keaton before him. They can really sell these villains as charismatic but downright chilling.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we all know that Marvel has had its problems with villains for most of its early existence, but past 4 years or so, they've delivered some incredibly amazing villains, and Jake Gyllenhaal continues it. I remember first seeing things, and I'm like, wow, this may not be the Mysterio I remember, but I mean, I'm loving this guy. He's like a genuinely awesome hero. I love the way he's trying to mentor Peter. And then that halfway point where he sees the villain, like, I know it's coming, but I'm like, damn it! I was just starting to hope he'd stay a hero. And yeah, I mean, the illusions he would pull, admittedly, sometimes the CGI would look horrible, but it was a genuinely amazing illusion ability and they were chilling. They were well done. I loved it. I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was amazing. And yeah, I hope he's not dead. I hope he comes back.
I think the bad CG was kind of the point, because it's supposed to show like, you idiots, like you believe all this stuff is real. And
maybe. All right. So a big part of Peter's identity is how he struggles with women. So, but he still finds a way to get girls. So let's talk about Peter and Michelle's relationship in this film, huh? Avi, I want to know what you thought of this.
Yeah, Michelle's much better in this movie than in Homecoming.
I would agree.
Yeah, that's like, because I don't remember any of her arc from Homecoming other than like her being like, I'm MJ. My friends call me MJ. That's like the only part I remember. But that's also more of a plate on I don't remember Homecoming that well. Yeah, no, that's all I really have to say. I think she's really good. I like the scene where she figures out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, I was only pretty sure that you were Spider-Man, so you better not be joking with me." Yeah, no, I thought she was really good in this movie.
All right, Colton, how do you think Peter and Michelle's relationship went down in this?
Well, yeah, I liked her more than in Spider-Man: Homecoming, because in that movie she was pretty much a glorified extra, whereas she's actually a character in this film. But well, there's no getting around the fact that Peter and MJ's relationship in this movie is pretty much happening because the plot says so. But it was still sweet in a teen love kind of way. They're not treating it like they're soulmates or anything. It's just two teenagers that have a crush on each other, and I liked it. They do look like a pair that would enjoy one another's company. And I really liked MJ's snark a bit more in this movie. It was a bit more playful than mean-spirited, so to speak. And if it was ever mean-spirited, it was usually to help prop Peter up, such as when Flash was like, "Hey, Peter, airplanes are for basically buses, but for rich people," and whatever, something along those lines. And then MJ gets him thrown out of first class, and then she gives Peter that nod. She's like, "Don't worry, Pete, I got your back." So yeah, I really enjoyed their relationship, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they go further into other Spider-Man films.
All right, Jack, what did you think?
Allow me to be the hater on this parade. I didn't like it. I'm not a fan of the Michelle character. Can we please get Liz Allen back, or can we introduce a new love interest, Gwen Stacy, Black Cat, anyone, please? I'm not a fan of her. It's just the same. Oh, I'm like antisocial and I'm all that, and it's like I kind of project this, but it's like I don't buy their relationship enough. Like in Homecoming, I bought Liz and Peter. Like I bought Peter likes Liz and Liz would like Peter. I don't buy it in this. You know what I mean? Like I don't get why they like each other.
Okay. Here's my thinking about this, Jack. I think what they wanted. Well, no, you know what? Never mind. I'm going way off track on that. I'm going way off track. Anyway, Mike, Peter and Michelle's relationship. What do you think of this?
Loved it. I thought they had great chemistry together. They're like back and forth. They kind of just kind of jabs back and forth. Well, more jabs from her, but the way that Peter just kind of like rolled with it. I really liked it. I thought they were really cute together, and their swinging scene at the end was just I had a grin my entire time when she's just screaming, trying to look cool, but then look away. I would have my eyes closed the entire damn time, so I can't falter for anything. Yeah. So yeah, I thought Zendaya was fantastic in the role, and I really, really like their relationship. I can't wait to see where they go with it.
I guess I'm somewhere in between you and Jack on this. I mean, I haven't been too. I was not a fan of her in Homecoming. Like Colton said, she was kind of a glorified extra. In this one, she was a little bit more of a person. I particularly loved how she shut down the other guy who was chasing her. And near the end, I thought that was really well done. But listen, I guess the issue I have with that, as Jack put it, she constantly makes jibes at everyone, kind of thrusting stuff. Listen, I don't care how hot she is. How much do you take before? Okay, you know what? I want nothing more of this bitch. Okay, she's nuts. I mean, I don't know why Peter kept chasing her, to be honest with you. So, even though I did enjoy their chemistry, I don't think it's very realistic for Peter to keep chasing someone who, at least on the surface, didn't seem that interested. I know she confessed later on, but it's come on, dude.
Hey, love can be the wacky.
I wouldn't call her nuts. I would say people make jabs. It's called sass.
Her jabs aren't really directed more so at people that are jerks in this movie.
It doesn't make her.
Homecoming, she was pretty
crazy because she was
pretty much like I said, her put downs were a bit more mean spirited. Whereas in this movie, the only people that she really put down were Flash, because he deserved it, along with Brad because of him taking a picture of Peter with his hands down on mistake. Otherwise, she was more just a person that. Otherwise, she was pretty much.
I love that.
Yeah, Flash is way more mean than her.
I love that. I love that part where when the teacher's telling Brad, it's not okay for you to take pictures of people in the bathroom with their pants off. You gotta work on that.
All right. So, guys, obviously, this is a topic for another time, but depending on who you ask, there's no such thing as a perfect film. And if there are, there's only one or two. I don't think anyone here would make the argument that Spider-Man Far From Home was a perfect movie. There were probably some things you didn't like about it. So now's the chance to talk about it. Let's get some negativity out of the way. Avi, was there anything about this film you did not like?
See, I feel like there's a difference between... There are films that are well made in which I can't actively find any flaws, but I wouldn't call them perfect movies because they could also be safe movies that don't really take risks. Off the top of my head, yeah, some of the CG was probably off. Maybe the bar scene, the exposition, wasn't the exposition was kind of eye rolly, but other than that, I really didn't think it was. There were any real big flaws, unless I should nitpick, which I don't really like to do. I have almost a flaw with the mid-credit scene, but it just more depends where they take the story. So for now, that's not anything. So yeah, nothing really.
All right, Colton, anything about this movie you did not like?
Yeah, if I had any issues, I feel like the idea that Peter is suffering from PTSD, I feel like they could have explored it more. It feels more like it's sporadically being addressed and what have you. And I also feel like the connection between Peter and Tony, it's and how everyone's being too demanding of Peter to step up. I feel like they sort of took a direction that allowed them to have their cake and eat it too, rather than coming to a more definitive conclusion regarding it. Everyone's calling Peter Iron Man Jr. and all that jazz. I feel like they could have been a bit more specific. I felt there could have been a bit more of a definitive statement from Peter that he's not Iron Man, he's Spider-Man or something along those lines to really put those criticisms to bed. But it doesn't ruin the movie, but it is something that I feel kind of causes the points of the payoff department. But that's all I have to. It doesn't, like I said, I still enjoyed the film, but that is something that's I'm gonna have to think about for a while.
All right. Jack, what was about this film you did not like, aside from Zendaya, which you just said?
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of Mysterio just being another person screwed over by Tony Stark. I'm kind of sick of it. I don't mind it if it's an Iron Man villain, but this is the second Spider-Man villain that's been screwed over by Tony. I hope when we move into the next Spider-Man movie, we'll get a Spider-Man villain that has to do with him. I think it also worked better in Homecoming because there was a second layer to that, which was you find out that Liz is Vulture's her father. So that adds another connection to Peter and him. There's no real connection other than Peter like, oh, you can be my new mentor. But it's like another villain just screwed up by Tony. It's like, can we move on, please? Can we get a Spider-Man villain that has something to do with Spider-Man?
We shall see. All right, Mike, was there anything about this movie you did not like?
I mean, kind of like Avi. I mean, it's not as if they completely. I mean, there are no like glaring flaws for me. Maybe some of the jokes didn't land quite as well. I guess kind of some of Happy's jokes I thought were a little more on the cartoonish side, like
his whole ant. Yeah, I don't really care for the whole ant thing.
I mean, just so like after the plane gets exposed, okay, new plan.
Mm-hmm. No,
it was cute, but I thought I could have been funnier. I guess some of his humor just didn't quite work for me. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that is like Avi said, that is a nitpick. Other than that, I really, really enjoyed this film.
I think the big problem I had with Far From Home is another of the big problems I had with Homecoming, and that is, like, I know that, I know that Peter's origin story has been done to death in multiple films. I get that they don't want to do it again, which I understand, but, how come there's no mention of Uncle Ben? It's like they're pretending he doesn't exist in this universe, but it's like, no, you cannot do that. That is the defining moment of Peter Parker's life. It is his motivation for everything. Okay, everything he does is because he's trying to be better than that person who let Uncle Ben die. It's his guilt is his greatest motivating factor, and that I just wish they'd stop ignoring it.
Part of me thinks that since they keep bringing up Peter's sweatsuit outfit, that we might actually get to see the origin at some point.
And they all, plus Ben's initials were on Peter's suitcase.
Well, that was more of an Easter egg, if anything.
Yeah.
I'd say that I was more fine with Uncle Ben not being brought up in this film because in Homecoming, that was more of an Uncle Ben storyline, whereas in this movie, there'd be no real reason for Peter to just, I don't know, sporadically bring up Uncle Ben, I guess. We'll see as time progresses.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm just sick of it. I wanted to address it. Okay. So last but not least, guys, let's talk about the big thing. That mid-credits scene that basically just, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but my jaw was on the fucking floor when that happened. Just like so much all in the span of like 1 minute. We get a whole shitload. So, Avi, let me come to you. I mean, the mid-credits scene, I mean, what was your reaction? Just like everything that we saw.
I mean, it's fun in the moment. My problem is, I hope they don't walk it back. I hope they don't go like, oh, it was either an illusion and only Spidey could see it and now everything's fine, or we're gonna use time travel and it's gonna be okay, or like, I hope they like that's what people complain about when they say like MCU movies have no stakes. Because if they just walk it back and it's just like, oh, it never happened and everyone's just happy again.
What if they done that?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, this is an example of, like, people complain, like, there are no stakes because you never, whatever. But, like, this would be if they were just to be like, oh, this was just another of Mysterio's illusions and no one actually knows Spider-Man's identity.
What like sense would that make, though?
No, I'm just saying they could really I'm hoping they don't make a cop-out. Like, it could just be something in the moment and then they don't want to actually have to deal with, like, consequences of people find out, or they could use time travel since that's documented in Endgame, and they could just make it be like, oh, we need to go back to before Mysterio revealed.
That's not how time travel works, Avi, remember?
Oh yeah, I watched Endgame. It said time travel works, so we won't really explain. I'm just saying. I hope I'm cynical. I hope that they don't just walk it back. I hope they actually, because in the mid-credit scene, when you see J. Jonah Jameson, you only see Parker's reaction. It never even cuts back to anyone else in the crowd. So it could easily just be like, this was another Mysterio's illusion.
No,
So,
because
That doesn't make any sense, though.
I mean, nothing makes sense. It doesn't make sense that Nick Fury dies 3 times in.
Reaction to it.
Huh?
They show Michelle's reaction to
Well,
it.
they don't. I don't think they.
I think we also see people recording the broadcast on their cell phones too.
Well, who knows what Mysterio could do? It could all be illusions. You thought Nick Fury had shot Mysterio, but it was an illusion. I'm just saying they could easily. All I'm saying is I hope it's not a cop out. That's all I'm saying.
It's not an illusion.
No, I agree with that. I hope it ain't.
I think one thing they could do to change it would be to have Pepper Potts come out and find out, this guy is a liar. He's an ex-Stark employee. Blah blah blah. That's the only thing I can think of relatively that'll easily fix the problem. But I think it's interesting because it's something we've never seen in the Spider-Man movies before.
Mhm.
It's happened in the comics, but we've never seen it in the movies where everybody knows who he is, and now we can get the thing. Oh, he's a menace because we actually have something that he's blamed for.
I mean, that's we've seen that in other media. But anyway, Colton, mid-credits scene, go.
Well, I gotta say, if they copped out on this, it will be probably the most insanely idiotic thing that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has ever done. So I sincerely doubt they're going to cop out on this because, I mean, we've had plenty of cliffhangers in the MCU where they have, follow through on them with a couple of exceptions here or there. But yeah, when I saw this, my jaw dropped. Like I was never expecting to see Jameson adapted ever again, let alone played by J.K. Simmons.
I didn't see that.
When I saw him pop up on screen, I'm like, first when I heard the words Daily Bugle, I'm like, wow, I wasn't expecting this. Then J.K. Simmons appears, I'm like, oh, and I actually said, "Oh my gosh!" out loud in the theaters. That was a pleasant surprise, and I have no idea how they managed to keep this a secret, especially in the days of the internet. They must have had people. I mean, it must have had armed guards on set every day saying, "Remember, if any of you guys leak this to the press, we will know and we will find you."
Can I just say one more thing? This is a question about the comics.
Yeah.
Isn't Daily Bugle supposed to be like a reputable news source in like the comics?
It is, but
in this movie they basically make it seem like Alex Jones.
In recent stuff, like in the newest PS4 Spider-Man game, it's kind of like that where he's more of like a radical kind of.
Yeah, that's how they basically framed him as like Alex Jones in this movie.
Well, the other
just like
thing
how
you
it's
gotta remember that this is 2019.
Yeah.
Newspapers and magazines are almost dead.
Mhm.
So I mean, you kind of have to update it to be more like a Fox News kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what it really is.
One more thing about the identity reveal.
Quickly,
I think now would be a great time to bring back Liz Allen because now she knows who Spider-Man is, and he had our father arrested. And the director John Watts even said he would love to have that actress come back to play her.
I don't know. Well, we'll see. All right, you kind of untook your turn, Mike. Mike, mid-credit scene, go.
I'm so glad that J.K. Simmons is back, especially since his DC thing never quite worked out. And I mean, Jake Jonah Jameson it's kind of always been a known and like kind of understood secret that he's hated pretty much everyone that ever wears a cape or everyone that wears a mask. That's kind of an open secret in the comics books and I guess not in the movies. So, what?
I can't say for the comics, but on like a lot of the animated stuff that I've seen, yeah, Jameson hates Spider-Man, but he worships the Avengers. Like he thinks Captain America's a legend. He loves Iron Man. He loves Thor. He even likes Hulk. It's just really just Spider-Man he hates.
I've seen some iterations where he wants everyone to reveal their identities. I mean, they can do what they want to do, but he seems like he's very against masks. That's why he brings his own son so much on a pedestal. It's like he's a real hero, and we know who he is.
The Man Wolf.
That's not his fault.
All right. So I mean, yeah, I mean, like you guys, I mean, first of all, the video alone, the way that Mysterio handled it, like, oh shit. Then seeing the return of the Daily Bugle, even though it's now like a website kind of thing. I mean, J.K. Simmons, I was grinning from ear to ear when I saw it. And then, Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And just seeing you go, what the fuck? I don't know how they're going to handle this in Phase 4. I mean, I doubt Gwyneth Paltrow is going to come back as Pepper Potts. The only thing I can really see happening, and something I hope they do, is that we see the remaining Avengers kind of come forth saying, "Hey, listen, we believe Spider-Man. Tony Stark, helped him for a reason. We believe him. Maybe that creates some kind of rift between the Avengers and the general populace. I don't know. I think that would be an interesting story to go. I don't know where they're going to take it. I just hope they, like Avi said, I just hope they don't make a cop out and have it be a problem for like 10 minutes and all of a sudden, oh, everything's fine.
Yeah,
no, keep this going.
Because the next Spider-Man movie isn't going to be for a couple years.
At least.
It could just be something like in the moment everyone's talking about it like we are, and then they could just be like, it was just another. It could like be.
Why would it be an illusion? What would Mysterio have to gain from that?
Just a freak
sense.
Just a freak Peter out. Yeah.
Maybe he's not dead.
Did Peter Parker outdo him though?
I don't know.
No, remember Jack said to his guy, "This is the back plan," and they show him the chip putting it in the computer.
I mean, it would be pretty easy for Peter to
that
figure
was his
out
backup plan.
Nobody.
I
don't know. I'm just saying they could use it just for the fan reaction for a second, and then.
And
all I'm saying is I hope they have something thought through.
Okay, guys, it's getting late. We need to wrap this up. Okay, so
you want to mention the end credit scene?
No. We talked. I don't think we need to mention the end credits. I don't think that was anything important. Okay.
Yeah.
So, guys.
When we talk about the end credits, it's very important.
No, we got to wrap this. It's getting late. We got stuff to do tomorrow. So, guys,
thank
you very much for being here. I had a fun talking about this movie. It's been a long time since we did a movie review. I think we need to do more of it. So, Colton, Jack, Mike, thank you very much for being here. And Avi, I know it's been a long time since you've been here, but we thank you for making the time to be here.
Yeah, no problem. I'm not as cynical this time.
All right, guys. So next week, I'm debating between top 5 favorite foods to eat while watching movies and top 5 retro TV shows that deserve a complete series release. I'll have for next week's show. I'll have a decision hopefully in a couple days. If you want to throw out some opinions, write it down in the comments. Which show you'd rather see, and we shall see you next week for another episode of Nerds United 1. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.